Another episode of the Cash Physical Therapy Headquarters podcast. Today, we're talking about how to win with meta ads in 2026 because the rules of the game have changed. And I feel bad for a lot of the people who are out there who have started coaching meta ads without actually having deep understanding of how they work. Because I'm hearing a lot of people getting on the calls who've been running meta ads to get new patients in the door, and their ads have just fallen completely flat. No one's getting on the phone. The people who do come in, they're just coming in for information, or if they buy, they're dropping off after 2 to 3 visits. And it's because the ads game has completely changed, and the way we have to approach advertising on Meta has to adapt. So today we're going to talk all about that, what's working right now to fill our schedules, and what are the things you need to look out for that if your coach or your agency are not doing, you need to run. You need to get out of there, and you need to find someone else or learn how to do it yourself. Ben, what's happening, brother?
Not much. No, I'm glad we're talking about this because this is something that we just went through in the last like 3 or 4 weeks with regards to our account and how, things are changing and different restrictions that Meta's placing on individuals. And like you said, if you don't really understand it, you can't fix it. And so
Right.
I'm excited to talk about this today.
Right. So why don't we start off with, like, if you're not running meta ads, like you need to, because you could be doing workshops, you could be doing SEO, you could be doing Google ads, and those are all strategies that you need to be doing. But if you're doing less than $10,000 a month and you've been at it for a couple months and things aren't moving at the rate that you need them to, where you are being able to take home $10,000 to $15,000 a month, if you don't feel like the path you're on is going to get you there in the next 6 months, well, then you need to change your path. Okay, we start all of our clients with meta ads because it gives us the most leverage in our business. Ben, like you came, like that's how we met, because you were doing it the old way. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, the first year was just doing workshops, every one workshop a weekday night, and then also on the weekends. And that was 7.5 years ago. And at that time, that's what was like bread and butter for like client acquisition. The thing is, like, you can only do that for so long. Like I was exhausted. And, like, I was single at the time too. Like once you have family and kids, like, how are you supposed to like keep doing lead generation with workshops every weekday night and then when the weekends and stay that's work-life balance and all that. It's not a scalable system.
Right.
And so that's how we met, was through meta ads, just needing like, hey, this is not a reliable channel. Like, I'm tired of relying on gym owners marketing it or not marketing it, people showing up and all that. It's just like, it's not a predictable way to grow and scale.
Right.
And so adding on meta ads has been a game changer for us. Like, we've done 2 workshops in the last 18 months. Over that time frame, we've generated over $4 million, 3 million, 3 to 3.5 million over the last 18 months. And so with just 2 workshops, and the reason we just don't do workshops anymore, it's just not scalable, right? You can't reach that level.
Right. And there's people out there that are pushing SEO, they're pushing Google ads, and those are things that you need to do, but the order matters in which you do them. Because if you are still trying to get off the ground, you need volume. Okay. If you're running Google ads, like generally a more expensive lead, those are people who are looking for physical therapy, yes, but they're also looking to use their insurance. And so they're typically harder to change their minds and get them to commit to premium cash packages because they were already, like, their glass is already full. They're already pretty convinced that they want to use their insurance, versus when we run on meta ads, we're reaching people whose glass is half empty. They have a problem. They don't know what the best solution is. And we have full control over how many of those people we can get on the phone every single day. Whereas Google, you're limited by the amount of search traffic in your area for that. And in order to get yourself to a position where you have a lead, at least one lead every single day, you're going to spend a lot on Google ads in order to do that. And at your stage, if you're early in your business, you need data more than anything else. And if you're only going to get 5 leads a month from your website or from Google ads, well, one, you're not going to make a lot of money. Your return on that isn't going to be that great. And C, you're not getting enough data into your business to find out which systems you need to improve and build upon. Meta ads are like running labs for your business. We know exactly what systems are underperforming, what needs to get adapted, and you develop your skills a hell of a lot faster because you're talking to people every single day. So we always start clinics off with meta ads so we can fill your schedule quickly, but also more importantly, we can get data flooding into the business, make changes really, really quick. And that's why we see people like Dr. Tony Liu or Dr. Eric Sanchez who joined within the last 6 months, and now they're doing 50K months within 6 months because they weren't relying on Google and SEO where it's very search traffic based. But now they can reinvest those profits into Google ads and SEO and start to diversify their acquisition channels. But meta ads is just the best, fastest way to start. We've seen it 100 times over with all of our clients.
Yeah, and if you're listening, you're like, oh, I've ran meta ads and it didn't work. It's kind of like the same shit of like, how many times you've had a patient come in and or on the phone like, yeah, I'm just not sure physical therapy didn't help me. There's different ways about going about doing meta ads. Like there's a lot of people that are coaching and teaching on meta ads that have no business doing it. Like if you're running lead form ads for Facebook ads and that's where and they didn't work, well, no shit. Yeah. Like that's just, but the thing is like marketing agencies and other coaches will push that form of doing meta ads because they can say, oh, I'm getting you a cheap cost per lead. Right. Well, I'm getting you leads. It's not like it's your fault. I'm doing everything I need to be doing. My system's working. No, you're getting trash leads that are also slowing my ability down and speed the lead to get actually qualified leads on the phone. So I think that's also the dangerous part about some of these on how some people are coaching meta ads is just cramming a bunch of low quality leads down. And it's not only are they not converting, but the leads that you do have, like from organic and referrals and just warmer lead generation sources, those leads are getting neglected because you're spending all your time following up with these lower quality leads that aren't going to convert anyways. That's where the real danger is on the meta ads and how some people are coaching this shit.
Right. And I mean, two of the coaches that are out there that are growing, they were our clients. They learned meta ads from us and they weren't even good at them. One of them, we had I love the guy. I like the guy. He's a tremendous guy, but he learned meta ads 2 years ago and he was terrible at it for the first year. We had to run his ads for him to prove that they actually worked and then hand it back to him. Then they fell through the floor. Then a year later, he has a mentorship program on running ads, which is fine. It seems like some of his clients are getting good results. But the problem is when you haven't been doing this for years, you don't know how to adapt when the entire system changes. And just this year, there's a massive change in how Meta is allowing healthcare practices to run their ads. They changed the way that we're able to track things. So the Facebook Pixel, the tracking code that they use that allows Facebook to optimize itself to find the right people. Well, they basically got rid of that for healthcare practices to try to protect some, patient privacy and, make sure that healthcare practices are being ethical with their marketing. And what we're seeing is people that don't know that that's happening, they're seeing a massive decrease in their lead volume because their cost per lead is going through the roof. And even worse, because their tracking is no longer working, their leads aren't good because Facebook isn't able to optimize to find the better and better people. So we just see this huge decline in the profitability of people running meta ads who don't know what to do because they haven't been playing this game long enough. Ben, have you started to see a little bit of that in your practice, right? But you're using,
Yeah, we were. So for those that are listening that might not know what a Facebook pixel is, pretty much a Facebook pixel in layman's terms, it allows Facebook to learn who is opting in for leads or as a lead, and which ones are converting. So it knows, hey, what ones to continue to try, what are individuals that are most likely to convert, and then they retarget those on Facebook and make sure those ads get placed in front of those types of people more often. If your pixel is not getting data because of restrictions, Facebook is not able to learn. Yeah. And so its targeting is not effective. And so that's what drives your cost per lead up. And then like what Jordan said is like, it not only is your cost per lead being driven up, but the lead quality is also worse because it's not targeting effectively. So essentially there's been restrictions that Meta is putting in place for healthcare businesses. And so we just got hit with this restriction 3 weeks ago. And so just did a really deep dive on this with Max as well on how to fix this.
That's our other co-founder, by the way.
Yeah, and workarounds for what we need to do. And so we've got to work on it. Again, we didn't get restrictions or anything because we were doing anything wrong. We just, Facebook is now, and Meta is starting to really crack down on analyzing what advertisers or healthcare, and they're just getting better and more effective on it. So this does not mean that you did anything wrong. It just means they finally found out that you're healthcare, and they're going to slap on this restriction. So
right. So basically what happened, so if you're running Meta ads and you're seeing your performance go down, what's happened is your ads are no longer able to optimize for that pixel event. And so a pixel event is like a lead, a purchase, visiting your website. Like these are the custom conversion or the standard conversions inside of Meta that when you set up your ads, you can choose to optimize for leads so that everyone who becomes a lead, Meta's like, okay, let's show these ads to more people like this person who became a lead. And so it's able to get better and self-optimize that way. And because they eliminated that, granularity in tracking for healthcare practices, this is why a lot of people's campaigns are underperforming. But it's really, really easy to fix if you know what the hell you're doing. And so all you need to do, you can make your campaigns perform just as well as they did before. You just can't use the standard events that Facebook has created that you can optimize your campaigns for. You just have to create a custom event. You basically can remake the lead event and make sure that, and once it's a custom event, it's able to optimize the exact same way that it has, but most people don't know to do that. It's really easy. It's just no one knows that you can do that. They just think Facebook ads don't work anymore. You just got to create a custom conversion and optimize your campaigns for that conversion, and then you're right back in the game. So it's a really easy fix, but most people don't know Meta ads well enough to actually know that you can go and fix that problem.
Yeah, I sure didn't. You know, luckily, like we got the clinical market computer, you got Max, you know, to be able to. He already solved that because he already had other clients that had been dealing with it. So it's like, yeah, this is this solution, and that's the power. Like being. I'm like so grateful with clinical marketer community just being part of that. Like this could have been a huge issue. This was solved in under 24 hours. Right, very easy fix.
Like Max has managed tens of millions of dollars in ad spend for physical therapy practices across all of our clients. And if the person helping you with your ads, ask them, how long have you been doing this? How many dollars in ad spend have you spent profitably growing physical therapy practices? Or is this something that you just started doing because you thought it was an easy way to make more money because your practice wasn't making enough money? And if your practice wasn't making enough money, but you're really good at Facebook ads, why wasn't your practice making a lot of money?
Yeah.
It's a funny world we live in today. But I digress. There's some other really bad advice that's getting pushed out there that people need to be aware of. I just signed 2 people into our Limitless DPT program who had been running Meta ads. And there's 2 different groups that were teaching lead form ads. Now, lead form ad is an ad where when you click on it, it opens up a form inside of Meta, and you just put your name, email, and phone number, and it's submitted. Very, very simple. Now, one group, they teach this, and they're very successful with it, but they run large in-network clinics. Very different ballgame. They have the infrastructure and the resources to be able to handle following up with a much higher volume of leads to make that strategy successful. Because when you run lead forms, you're going to get a much lower quality lead because there's less friction to get them to opt in. So you're getting way more leads at a lower cost, but way lower quality. And if you don't have a full-time admin, someone who's going to hammer and pound the phones to make that strategy profitable, you're probably not going to be that successful, especially if you're a solo provider that doesn't have time to follow up with 10 people a day who aren't going to answer the phone.
And even if they did, it's not going to work for a cash-based practice. These are low-quality leads that are never going to invest in paying out of pocket. Like they're not active. Like they're overweight. Like they're not going to. Even if you had somebody to pound the phones, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, these are not your ideal type of patients anyway. So yeah, it'll work for insurance-based clinics. You can just absorb all the crappy low quality leads, then that's why they're successful with it. But for a cash based practice, even if you have adequate follow-up systems and lead gen and the perfect phone script, these aren't people you want in your practice anyways.
Now the other group that's teaching lead form ads, they are not ads people. They tried to hire us to come and teach ads to their group. We denied. Wasn't a good fit. A lot of respect for them. But they basically started teaching lead form ads because it's easy and it's the easiest thing to like learn. And they're celebrating and getting people excited around, well, these leads are only $10 a lead. This is amazing. It's like that is the wrong metric to be optimizing for, because the people who are going to buy $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 packages, those are the people you want to spend $100 to acquire. And so you need to be optimizing for return on ad spend, not for cost per lead, because you're only going to get the worst leads, the hardest people to convert ever. We just we built an AI tool to better track our ads and the attribution between this person came in and they bought, and they came in from this very specific ad. In the ads manager dashboard, you can't see data like that. It's not that granular. And previously, the only company that had a tool that allowed you to see this was a company called ROAS. Ben works with ROAS. What do you pay a month for ROAS, Ben?
It depends on revenue. So like as our revenue goes up, we have to pay more as well. So it changes every
rev
month.
share.
But yeah, it's kind of like it's a little bit like it's like not rev share. It's more like a tiered system. That hey, it's pretty much like if you're asking me to track more, we're gonna have to pay more on it. We were asking it to track all of every piece of revenue and all of our leads, like our website and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's all pretty consistent stuff. So we were actually able to decrease our cost for Hyro substantially, because we just started asking them to I just want you to track paid advertising. So it's still, even with paid advertising, like we're still spending like a good $3 to $4 grand a month. So it would be like closer to $8 to $10 grand a month if we were tracking like our full revenue on it. Yeah. So it's a tool that's not really appropriate quite yet for people that are in the beginning stages. It's helpful for us right now, but if like 4 years ago, this wouldn't have been a great investment. So you really start scaling. So
so Hyros is a tool that was exclusive for businesses that are doing like 7 figures. It was like, if you're doing 7 figures, you can get access to this really granular data that allows you to be way more profitable with your advertising. Well, fortunately, we have a Max Zerbel on our team who's a genius, and he basically rebuilt this with AI so we could deploy it for local businesses, and it's free as long as you're working with us. And with this tool, to circle back to cost per lead not being what you want to optimize for, we're able to see across all of like Will on our one of our coaches on our team. He was also trying to optimize for cost per lead, and he was turning off a lot of campaigns when their cost per lead got too high. But when we installed this tool, we found that a lot of the campaigns that he turned, or that a lot of the ads that he turned off, well, the cost per lead was $100, $150, which is really, really high for, the standard benchmarks that we aim for. But their return on ad spend was like 15 to 20x, because they're pulling in way higher quality people. And so now he's got those campaigns back on. He's willing to spend the money because the people who are coming in, they're buying his largest packages. And so you need to understand how to look at your data and make sure that we're optimizing for return on ad spend, not cost per lead, because that's what's leading to all of you getting all these really crap, low quality leads that aren't answering the phones, that aren't buying, who aren't showing up. And that's pretty standard what you can expect when you're running lead form ads. The only time we'll ever run a lead form ad is if we're testing new messaging. If we have a new angle, a new creative, a new workshop, or we're split testing different like titles for that workshop, we'll throw $200 at lead form ads to see which one has the highest opt-in rate. And then boom, we have our title, we have our messaging, but then we convert it into a conversion campaign where it takes them out of Meta, takes them out of Facebook, out of Instagram, to a landing page that has information on it, so that someone actually has to think before they opt in, which creates the higher quality lead.
Yeah, it's a friction. And then also that landing page also gets them more excited to buy as well. So they come in more warm. If you're just filling out a lead form ad with just your name, phone number, email address, half those leads that you're going to call aren't going to even remember that they opted in. There was nothing memorable about it. Some people actually just do it by accident, because there's also the autofill, and you get a bunch of these old people that don't know how to operate technology, and they don't know what they clicked. And so it was funny when we tried running lead form ads. It was like 30% of people were like, "How'd you get my information?" Like you
Yeah,
submitted.
like I didn't opt into this.
I didn't
Like,
opt in.
first
But
of all, you're an idiot. But
yeah,
second of
yeah,
all,
and they very well might not have intentionally opted in because it's
yeah,
just like there's zero friction to opt in,
yeah,
right? And so you get a lot of people that have no idea
right.
they opted in, and to
It
your
even
point,
autofills your information.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it's easy. It's just like one click of the button.
Mhm.
So no wonder you're getting lower quality leads, and that's the danger too. You highlighted something that is important is the cost per lead. You know, I'd rather if I had a campaign that had a 5x ROI, one was $100 cost per lead, another one was 50, but the ROAS was the same. I'll take that $100 cost per lead every time because now my sales team isn't getting bogged down by a bunch of low quality leads.
Mhm.
And so it makes our conversions higher on organic and non-paid because we're not being bogged down and having to filter through so much BS with lower quality leads too.
Right.
And I think that doesn't get talked about enough either is that aspect of the sales side, because with marketing, it's always just marketing, marketing, marketing. They don't always see the sales side of things. But now
Right.
being on both sides, like marketing has to be dialed in, sales has to be dialed in. There is a major negative consequence to having higher cost per lead when it starts slowing down your speed to lead on other lead generation sources.
Right. Yeah. Most of you started cash pay because you wanted to earn more money and get fewer people better results. You wanted to see fewer patients, spend more time with them, get them better results, and make more money. You can't want that for your business, but not apply that to your marketing. You can't want fewer patients to pay you more money, but then want to pay as little as possible to get more leads. Like you need to pay more to get fewer leads, but of the right fit leads. The logic goes both ways. Otherwise, there's this huge mismatch between what people are expecting when they come in and what they're actually getting. That's why your conversion rates suck.
And this is why it's important to have your pricing dialed in. If you don't have your pricing dialed in, you can't pay $100. I can outbid everybody in our areas because of what we charge.
Yep.
So I can flood the market and I can dominate this market wherever we're at because we charge what we charge, and I can outbid everybody. I can outspend everybody, and so that's the thing too, is you have to have your pricing dialed in too.
100%. There's so many elements that go into ads. Like ads are not magic. Ads are insanely easy. It's everything that comes after the ads that are important that determine how profitable your campaigns are actually going to be. So I mentioned that we run ads not as just a way to fill our schedule, but we run it as the diagnostic tool for our business. It's like labs for our business. And when people come in, we want to know how many leads are getting on the phone. Of those people who get on the phone, how many of them are booking, how many of them are showing, how many of them are converting into packages, and how many visits on average are they sticking around for. Those are our 5 golden ratios. And when we run ads to it and we're getting leads every single day, well, now it's very easy to pinpoint what's the root issue going on in my practice. What do I need to fix in the next 30 days that's going to make the biggest change in my overall profitability? And so that's why our clients are so incredibly successful, and we're able to scale them up so quickly, because it's not the ads. The ads are just the mechanism that gives us the data to improve every aspect of our business. So the business continues to grow month over month, and your life actually gets easier the more that you grow. That's the power of meta ads. You can't really do that to the same degree with Google ads unless you're at a point where you can spend a lot of money. That's why we start with meta ads. I want to talk about budget real quick, because some other people are also saying like, yeah, well, you can just start at like $5-10 a day. That is some BS. That is some BS that was told to you to get you to say yes to buy their thing. Okay. Because what's going to happen is your cost per lead, let's say it's $50. If you're spending $20 a day on ads, that means you're getting one lead every 3 days. Not only does that not give you enough data a month to help you optimize your systems to pinpoint what the constraint is, because it's just not enough data. You're also not developing the skills through the repetition of practicing it on new leads. But Meta also can't optimize your campaigns. Meta does all the heavy lifting for people today. Any single person, no matter how tech savvy you are, can run Meta ads successfully. But if you're not, it needs at least one lead conversion a day in order for it to self-optimize itself. And so you can run $10 a day, but you're always going to get crappy leads, and you're not going to get a lot of them because Facebook isn't even able to optimize your campaigns. So that's why we start all of our clients off at $50 a day. We can always reduce that, but $50 a day tells us how many leads we can get per day and how much it costs to sell one package. And then we just have to ask ourselves, to reach your financial take-home pay goals, how many package sales do we need to make a month in order for that to happen? And then it becomes really, really easy when you just stop overthinking it and just look at the damn numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing too, is when you are just spending like $10 a day, it's very easy to get emotional on it because like you said, if you got a $50 cost per lead and you're spending $10 a day, it's going to take 5 days before you get a lead. And it's going to seem like Facebook ads aren't working. Well, yeah, it feels like it's not working because you're getting one lead every 5 days. You're getting one lead every 5 days because of what you're spending, you know? And there's also something to be said about the opportunity cost by not spending more.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting a ROAS on it fast enough either, you know? So that's something to be said about the emotional piece.
Yeah. I think to go along that line, like, people are willing to do trial and error for an entire year doing organic or paying some local friend to kind of do posting for them every single day because they're afraid to spend money on ads. But the opportunity cost of the entire year you wasted still being under 10, 20, 30, 50K a month, whatever your goal is, the opportunity cost of not being there is incredibly massive, versus you could just spend $1,500 on meta ads and learn more about your business in 30 days than the last year you spent waiting for things to pick up.
Yeah.
Like, don't just look at it as like, I'm running ads to make money. Look at investing in ads as you are buying data for your practice, the most important data that you need to actually get where you're trying to go. And so, yes, you can make ads profitable. Most of our clients' ads are, on average, we just did a poll across 53 of our clients that actually completed it. Our average return on ad spend is 5x, $5 for every $1 you put into it. We're really good at getting those campaigns profitable within 30 to 60 days. But even more importantly than those ads being profitable, to reach your goals, you have to be data driven. So the more important thing that I train our clients to think about is, you're not just getting patients in the door. You are buying the data that is required for you to get where you're actually trying to go, so that you can really see where you suck, where you need to improve, and where you're pretty decent. And without that information, you're never going to get where you're trying to go.
Yeah, it's not just information. It's also like your ability to have a skill set that you can acquire. You know, people think they're good at sales. Well, you're good at sales because you're just dealing with referrals. You know, once you start doing phone calls with like Facebook ads where you actually have to be proficient at sales, that's when you realize, hey, am I actually good at sales or not? And so it's going to make you better on the phones. It's going to make you better at sales in person as well. You're going to convert your referrals and organic leads at a higher rate because you're better at sales because of the phone calls that you've been doing with Facebook ads. So honestly, even if you you don't even get a 5x return those first couple months on it, that you will indirectly from being able to improve your skill set at sales. And that's a skill set that lasts, you know, a lifetime, you know? So there's something to be said about that as an investment too. Obviously, if you get the right help, you're going to get the 5x ROAS, but you know, really what's maybe just as equally valuable is the skill set of sales that you and lead follow-up and psychology and understanding on emotional drivers on why people buy. That is actually probably more valuable than the ROAS that you're actually going to get from Facebook ads, in my opinion.
100%. Yeah. Meta ads allow you to accelerate your rate of failure. And if you want to win, well, you got to fail fast and learn fast. Meta ads allows you to accelerate that entire process if you're willing to look in the mirror and admit that you don't have a marketing problem. You have a ton of leads. You have a systems problem and a attitude and mindset problem around admitting that you suck at something. And something that I was talking to a client that recently enrolled, they're saying how they never ran meta ads because they're like lower quality leads. Whereas like Google ads, like, there are people already, like, they see value in physical therapy, but they see value in insurance, physical therapy. And the other side of that is, which business do you think is more volatile? The business that only is successful when people show up pre-sold on wanting to work with them, and they're 100% reliant on referrals, word of mouth, workshops, and people coming in already bought, or the business that builds systems that can convert any random stranger off the street into a $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 package? Which one of those two businesses do you think it's in a better position to scale rapidly and to deal with the changing landscape of the economy, of consumer behavior, of everything? The one who doesn't know how to sell and has systems that can only convert people who are already converted, or the one who has a system to turn strangers into lifelong fans?
Yeah, it's also with like Google ads and compared to Facebook ads too, you know, like there's only 10% of people that actually need PT actually search for it. That's your Google ads. Meta ads, you are going after the 90% of people that I have a problem but don't know how to solve it.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not usually, it doesn't have to be an either or, like Google ads are better than Meta ads or Meta ads are better than Google ads. Just trying to show the devil's advocate of like some people arguing like, no, I'm just going to run Google ads because it's people that are actually looking for PT. Well, you're only going after the 10%. What about the other 90%?
Yeah.
We run both Google ads and Meta ads. Our ROAS is about the same, right? But you become a more robust clinic when you have multiple lead generation sources. Right? It doesn't have to be an either or. I think it's an and thing.
100%. Yeah. That's why start with Meta. Once it's at generating minimum $10,000 a month and profitably, well, then it's like, great, let's reallocate some of that budget over to Google ads. But if on Meta, you're getting an 8x ROI and on Google, you're getting a 3x ROI, well, then it doesn't make a whole ton of sense to keep that budget over in Google. Go put it in the machine that's turning it $1 into $8. The only time it really makes sense to diversify is when your Meta side of the system is so stable and so consistent that now it's like, okay, I can take the loss in potential ROI over on Google just to make sure that I'm also showing up where my competitors are showing up, and start stacking the deck in that way and building that moat around your business. But in your early stages, you don't need 3 acquisition channels. You need to get really damn good at one.
Follow suit.
Right. Pretty easy stuff. So if you want to start running Meta ads and you want to fill your schedule and you're willing to spend $1,500 to buy data and stress test all of your systems with strangers to see how good at this game you really are, so that you can find what actually needs to be fixed and you can really start to move the needle, then go to clinicalmarketer.com, apply to work with us. We'll train you how to run your own ads. We'll show you here the ads that are working across dozens and dozens of populations today all over the country. We'll help you install those. We'll meet with you weekly to train you how to look at your data, how to interpret it, what these numbers mean, and what it is you need to do next, so that within 60 days, you realize running Meta ads is really damn easy and you can do it in under an hour a week. And then we'll take that, we'll scale those campaigns, help you start creating content, retargeting systems, all the things that you need to have a massively profitable campaign to fill your schedule and put you in a position where you can hire sooner. Check out clinicalmarketer.com, go to apply to work with us. You'll speak with me directly. Thanks, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe if you got value.